For any kind of major or chronic health issue, it's normal for a family to be shocked, upset, overwhelmed, and have a difficult time really hearing and adapting to new information. Having said that, many parents and children adapt really well. Hello, I'm Jeff from Jeff Packer & Associates. Glad you could join us here on our YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about kids who are diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, parents who are shocked and overwhelmed at first, and how to help your child actually follow the treatment regime. If you like our videos, hit the subscribe button. Hang around to the end as well, because I have an example in how a 6-year-old actually changes his mind or his narrative about type 1 diabetes. There are many things that people need to think about in order to help the child. So many things can change blood levels. Even the thoughts in our mind can change blood levels. Did you know even a nightmare could get the cardiovascular system worked up, and a person could have a low blood sugar just from that? So it's challenging for children and parents to figure out all the things that might be affecting the blood sugar levels, as well as the insulin routine or regime and the right amount of insulin per carb intake. You can see already there can be an emphasized focus on details that most people would not even need to focus on. At the outset of the diagnosis, parents generally are connected right away to a treatment team to work through the medical processes and the medical pieces that need to be taken care of, as well as the education to get up to speed on what the treatment options are, as well as the technology that can be used along with your efforts to help your child have the healthiest development possible. Many children, of course, don't want to check their blood or take testing or look at blood or keep accurate track of it. They're not really wired to do so. So the technology now is starting to help parents and children make it a little more viable for them to manage it well. However, the attitude can still easily deteriorate. And some of the things you often hear people say, whether it's parents or children, parents can actually take on excessive guilt, feeling like, oh, it's my gene pool, it's my history that affected the child. Or if I'd only seen it, I should have caught it sooner, which is a very common thing parents feel guilty about. You just don't see it till you see it. So oftentimes the first signs will be, excessive drinking of water as well as urination, because the body's attempting to get rid of the extra blood sugar that's accumulating in the bloodstream. So how do we help children as well as the attitude starts to be, I'm not healthy? You hear kids say this. They would come to us and say, I'm just sick. I'm no longer healthy, and look very down. And then as they get more and more down, it's hard to follow the routines of tracking blood sugar levels and insulin injections, or the amount of insulin supplied to the body, as the mood and the negativity about their health and wellness and about themselves increases. So to do that, we want to make sure we're talking, parents and kids, as well as getting kids involved with the diabetes education team, especially with the mental health person too, that can help them start to look at how they're thinking and how the narrative or their story about themselves can start to contribute to healthy development and follow through, consistent follow through with treatment expectations by your diabetes team, and of course by parents. One young lad phoned one time. Actually, he didn't phone, his mother phoned. He's only 6. And she said, he won't do it. He won't check his blood. He won't follow through. And I remember being on the phone and saying, what am I going to do here in the back of my mind? He's 6 years old. I said, well, bring him in. She booked an appointment, and we talked, a little bit at the beginning, just kind of warming up. I showed him the gallery where lots of artwork is done. Art and play therapy are very helpful for children to kind of express themselves a little more readily. Once he'd warmed up, I looked at him right in the eye and I said, so why are you here today? And I remember he's looking right up at me and he says, I'm not checking my blood. And I said, oh, what's that about? I don't want to check it all year. It's been a year now, I don't want to check it. And his mom nodded. He's been giving me a hard time about checking his blood. Getting information accurately from your child is essential, really, for you to be able to help them manage diabetes. So I looked at him and I wasn't sure what to say right at the time. He says, I'm not checking my blood. And I said, why not? And he said, the kids in class, they tease me. They'd stand around me when I was checking my blood the first few times. They'd stand around and they'd look at him funny. Of course, they were probably curious, but to that child, it was an embarrassment. He was ashamed. He felt singled out. He felt different, and that's very common when you have type 1 diabetes and you are required to check your blood sugar and monitor how much food you take. I just looked at the young lad and I said, well, what do you do? What did you do? And he said, well, I just walked away and I wouldn't talk to them anymore, and I decided I'm not going to check my blood. So I shifted gears and I looked at him and I said, do you have a favorite superhero? And he looked at me and his mom kind of looked puzzled. And I said, seriously, who's your favorite superhero? And he said, Batman. And I said, oh, I love Batman. Who does Batman fight off? And right at that moment, he said, Doc Ock. We all know that's Spider-Man's villain, but I didn't want to argue with him. I said, Doc Ock, the guy with all the tentacles and everything. Yeah, he's evil, the little boy said. And I said, well, that's just a scary guy. And he said, yeah. And I said, well, what does Batman use to fight him off? And the little boy starts waving his arm like this. And I said, what is that? And he said, that's the grappling hook. And I said, of course it is. He hooks it onto the roof and he can climb right up and get away. The boy said, you know what a grappling hook is? I said, yes, for sure. What else does Batman use to fight off Doc Ock and fight off this evil kind of villain? And he said, well, he uses the Batmobile. He has the Bat Chopper. Anything else? He says, yes, he has the Batarang. Goes around and hits the villain in the head. I said, wow, he has all these tools to fight off evil. Does he have any helpers? Little boy went, yeah, he has Robin. And I said, who else? He says, well, he has that old guy in the cave. And I said, Alfred? He said, yeah, Alfred. Does he have any other helpers? He said, Batgirl, with a little grin. I thought it was interesting. Right there, you could tell he knew of some evil. He knew of some tools Batman used to help him address evil. And then he also knew of some people that could help Batman. So I looked at him right in the eye and I said, that's amazing. You're kind of like a superhero. And he looked puzzled again. Maybe you're a superhero and diabetes is the evil villain. What are you using to fight off diabetes? And he said, well, I have my finger poker. I have my blood sugar monitor. I said, exactly. What else do you have? He said, I have my kit with my sugar tabs. I'm going to be getting an insulin pump to help me. I said, there's another weapon to fight off the evil diabetes. Do you have any helpers? He said, well, yes, I do. He looked at his mom. I said, anyone else? He said, my dad. And I said, anyone else? And he went, no. And I said, anyone else? And he said, well, you guys here at the Best Center, the Diabetes Center. I said, exactly. So you are a superhero. What do superheroes do? We're helping a child, even the mom, you could see it on her face, change the narrative from helpless, hopeless, I can't do it, to wow. We're actually taking a job of fighting off injustice, just like a superhero. It's not fair. And then we're also helping to save lives through the adherence to treatment routines. You're using the tools to fight off the evil diabetes, or we could call it the effects of diabetes. So the next time you think about diabetes, possibly you know a family member or you have a family member with type 1 diabetes, remind them that they're actually doing the job of a superhero. They're fighting off something that's unjust, and it's a very big challenge. And to encourage them and help them change that narrative, or even help yourself if you're the parent. Your job is a superhero sidekick. You might be the Robin or the Batgirl in this situation, helping your child to feel better, to be supported, and to be able to help save them when they're caught in a situation where they don't seem to be able to do it themselves. So when you think of type 1 diabetes or you think of any chronic ailment, we really do want to watch how our mind can start to spin down that negative rabbit hole. And think about ways to change the narrative of your capacity, what you're able to do, and how you're able to help one another. Whether you're helping yourself as a child or an adolescent with type 1 diabetes, or whether you're helping a family member. Think differently about it. Thanks for looking at some of our videos. If you like them, subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you have any comments about other videos, I'd love to hear from you as well. Remember, take care out there.